in terms of the team and hearing, and I think that I think you've got a coach and GM. There's dysfunction there, and Frank Saravalli, he's talked about it for a while. And I think there's dysfunction between players inside the room, and there's heavy dysfunction between players towards the coach. The latest, and I'll bring this in now, Elliot Friedman, our former friend, Elliot Friedman, was on the Jeff Merrick show today on the podcast, and the topic of the Flames came up. And I'll read you the quote. It's actually on our website, flamesnation.ca. Jeff Middleton wrote about it about an hour ago. The quote from Elliot: "I've heard that Kadri has been very vocal about what he sees going on in Calgary and why the team isn't firing on all cylinders. I think he's been very blunt about the communication between the players and the coach there. I'm betting some of that frustration boiled over in that game Saturday night. I'm curious to see where this is all going to go." So, of course, Kadri, makes mistakes, and it ended up in the back of their net, and then he gets put on essentially the fourth line. But this goes beyond that. What I'm hearing is there's some players that have basically said, "I'm not coming back if this guy is behind the bench. I'm fucking done." And Daryl has, like a lot of those coaches, they have a shelf life. I didn't think we'd get there this quickly. They come in, they have success, then they scrap and fight to find answers. Then you can't find them, and then eventually the coach moves on. But I don't think, when you talk about what's next season going to be, I think the next 2 months are going to be incredible to watch. And it's not about free agency or anything like that, because you say it, the money's spent. Who's going to be behind the bench? Who's coaching it? Who's running it? Is there a general manager, president? I think everything is on the table right now. The way I feel right now, I kind of feel like I'd be shocked if Daryl's back. I don't know if he even wants to come back.
I'm the same way. I'm not as surprised. I told you that winning that Jack Adams is going to be a bad thing for Sutter, because he's going to overdo it this year, and he has. But bringing in those guys and Kadri, on one hand, I'm like, do your effing job. And guess what? You probably won't find yourself on the fourth line. When you get your clock cleaned on the faceoffs by Ben in a must-win game, what are you there for? So it's Daryl's fault you can't win a face-off when we need you to? Or you're getting paid all that money? That's supposed to be your kind of your thing, right? Shut down other guys? Easy to point the finger. So I get stuck because I think Daryl has probably not done a very good job of handling this squad. But they've done a piss poor job of playing. They've done a piss poor job of playing. Markstrom is not new to Daryl Sutter's coaching. And he was horseshit for 5 months. Kadri came out of the gates pretty good. Well, he just won a cup, and he got a fat new contract. Life was looking okay. And then the grind started. Oh, I still got to work my ass off every game? We're not in the Stanley Cup playoffs where the emotion just automatically shows up? Huberdeau. Probably a huge culture shock in more ways than one, from Florida, sunshine, anonymity, going into Calgary, shitty rink. It is, compared to the rink they play out of in Florida. You can't drive a Ferrari around in Calgary in January. I'm sorry. So, shock to the system. I don't even know if he's married and has kids, but if he is, that's a huge cultural change for a family. And Daryl would have tried to squeeze the piss out of him, because that's Daryl's MO, is top guys have to produce.